Hello, everybody. This is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover. I'm back with another movie review, and I had just done the movie Devil in the Flesh, starring Rose McGowan. So I figured I'd go ahead and knock out the sequel, Devil in the Flesh 2, starring Jodi Lyn O'Keefe. Now, I got to be honest, really the only thing I'm sure she's done other work, but when it comes to Jodi Lyn O'Keefe, really the only thing I remember her from is Halloween H2O, and but I don't know what ended up happening. I don't know exactly how the sequel was made, and she ended up getting the role. And I don't know if Rose McGowan just well, I'm pretty sure that with Scream and everything else, Rose McGowan was an up and comer. She was becoming a bigger star, bigger celebrity, and everything else. And so there's no telling. Maybe she just moved on to bigger, better projects, or um, maybe she read the script and just didn't like it, doesn't decide she didn't want to do it for whatever reason. And then the role of Debbie went on to Jodi Lyn O'Keefe. And so, I mean, obviously, the plan was, I think they were going to try to turn this into they were going to try to franchise this and kind of turn this character of Debbie into something of like a horror icon, make a slasher series out of this. And so then we're going to get into this. Now, like the thing I said, I think I mentioned this too in the other video that I think is kind of funny is that I find it kind of weird that this is a Mill Creek DVD, and I don't think I paid more than like $1 for this. And the other day I watched this movie, as a matter of fact, on streaming, and it's weird when a DVD from Mill Creek actually the picture quality looks infinitely better than it does on streaming. I'm not even kidding. The picture quality when I streamed this was horrible. So, and it's like that's really bad when a Mill Creek DVD actually looks better. So there's the back of it. But anyway, now we're going to get into the movie. So okay, so basically this starts up a little bit after the end of the first movie. So we now have Peter, who Alex MacArthur makes a small appearance in the movie. They're at a mental hospital, and the character Debbie. Now there's Jodi Lyn O'Keefe there. She's playing Debbie in this version, and so anyway, so she's in the asylum and everything, and she breaks out. She's able to attack Peter and attack the guards and everything, and she breaks out and she's on the run and everything. And so we cut to a college student she's on her way to college and everything else, and you could tell she's kind of a privileged girl. She drives a nice car, wears nice clothes, things like that, and so she's on her way and everything else, and she gets stopped in the road, and Debbie appears and tells her she needs a ride and everything else. And so the girl, I mean, of course, she's nervous and she's scared about giving her a ride and doesn't really want to. And then it comes over the radio that Debbie here has escaped from the asylum and that they're looking for her and everything else. And she happens to see a newspaper, with Debbie's picture on it and everything. And so she decides she tells Debbie she's going to pull into a gas station and use the bathroom, things like that. So she pulls into the bathroom, and the place is pretty much deserted, and she's like trying to find help and everything. Well, then she turns. Debbie's like, what are you doing and stuff, and she's like, I know who you are. Please don't hurt me. And she's like, I don't want to hurt you. Just listen to me. Let me explain and everything else. And then the girl's like, no, keep away from me. And she's like, no, no, come on, please. I don't want to hurt you. Just let me explain what's up, and everything. So the girl ends up falling back and basically impales herself. And so, so she dies. It's purely an accident. Debbie doesn't push her. She doesn't, impale her or any of that kind of stuff. She just, ends up unfortunately dying as a result of just an accident. I don't want to say carelessness, but just more of an accident. So Debbie, trying to figure out what to do. Well, she decides she's going to go ahead and she knows that they're out looking for her and everything else. So she decides the best thing for her to do is to go ahead and take this girl's identity, and she's going to go ahead and go to this college and basically pass herself off as this girl and take her classes and whatever. So she dresses up in the girl's clothes, takes her car and all this, and so she arrives at this college and everything. And, so the thing is, it's kind of basically with a couple of little twists and turns, a couple of little differences. Um, the movie, I hate to say it, but the movie really does kind of mirror the first movie quite a bit, and yeah, that does kind of bug me in a way that because what ends up happening is she goes to this college now, and when she gets there, she kind of runs into the same scenario. She ends up finding another teacher, another handsome teacher, like all the girls are gaga over, and Debbie ends up becoming infatuated with him as well. And um, so she ends up, start, romanticizing being with him. And she's got another sort of cast of characters. She's got another asshole douche who, he thinks that she owes him sex and everything because he's like a big shot on campus. His daddy's got a lot of money, and he's basic. The guy basically kind of comes off as like the definition of white privilege, pretty much. And so he's basically telling her she owes him and all this, which she doesn't owe him shit and stuff. So we have another girl who makes the unfortunate mistake of becoming her friend. Um, like I said, she, falls for another handsome teacher. Of course, the teacher has, a girlfriend, and in this one, the girlfriend's talking about she needs to take a little bit of time away from him and everything else, and so he's upset about it. And she's, there's this guy that she's talking to, and so he thinks that the two of them are having an affair. That's one little thing that's different. And so Debbie is, able to try to play on that and try to manipulate him and try to make him think that his girlfriend is cheating on him with this guy. And so she's trying to, like use the situation so that to get the two of them to pretty much break up completely. So then that way she can have, this teacher to herself. And of course, it's like, I think the only difference really between in this movie and the first movie is that he does end up uh, they get together one night after a party, and she basically fakes an injury saying that she hurt her ankle, and the two of them are together, and ultimately they end up having sex and everything. So she's pretty much under the impression that now that they had sex, that he's willing to just give up on the girlfriend, and he's willing to just love her and want to be with her forever and everything else. And then of course it turns out at first, well, he's not saying he actually wants to be with her, but at the same time, he's just kind of like, I'm sorry, just get this for you here. But at the same time, he's just kind of like, just trying to figure out what the hell's going on and stuff. And so he and his girlfriend, they get together and the two of them talk, and they realize like what situation is, and they realize they're being manipulated. Meanwhile, you got, of course, you got certain characters who are basically going to be up, for the body count. And, we have this one girl who's basically kind of like, she goes into this, basically kind of like an apartment. It's not really like a sorority or anything like that, but it's, basically it's kind of like a housing unit for students and stuff. And so she ends up, butting heads with this one girl who, is basically, it's kind of like little Miss Stickler for the rules and stuff. And so, obviously she's going to end up becoming a victim. And let's see. Yeah, I think the body count is slightly less in this movie than it was in the first movie. In this movie, though, the spoiler alert, but in this movie, when the girl who makes a mistake of befriending Debbie here, when she ends up, when she meets her demise, it's more of a freakish accident instead of, whereas like in the first movie, Debbie basically intentionally kills the girl to make it look like she killed herself. But in this movie, we find out that Debbie here is actually, her character is computer illiterate. Like she doesn't know anything about computers, and she doesn't know how to look stuff up on the internet. And so she asked this friend of hers who basically, you could tell she's very smart. She's, kind of a bookworm. Of course she's smart. She wears glasses. But so anyway, so, Debbie kind of makes a trade off with her that if, she would show Debbie how to use a computer and how to look stuff up on the internet, that she would kind of help her be a little bit more cool. And so Debbie's like sneaking in booze so that they can drink, and she even sneaks out in the middle of the night to go drinking and go partying and stuff. So this girl asked Debbie to take her with her, which Debbie does, and they go to a bar. And they're going to a bar because the teacher, he's basically like a poet and stuff like that, and you know uh, likes to sing and things. So he's there performing. So they're going to watch him and stuff. And so they go to this bar, and they're watching him, but Debbie gets recognized by this one guy, and he's kind of a drunk. At first he comes up, he's like trying to hit on her and everything else, but then he starts to realize, like, that he knows her from somewhere. And so he's like trying to, hey, wait a minute, don't I know you, don't I know you, and everything. And Debbie's just trying to get away from the guy. And so she goes out, she's her and her friend, they realize that they're going to get busted, they're going to get thrown out of this club anyway, so they're trying to find a way out. So they go out in the back and everything. And this, basically this homeless guy comes up, and he comes up to Debbie, and he's all like, hey, wait a minute, I know you. You're that girl from, that escaped and all that stuff. And so she's like, leave me alone. So he starts grabbing on her and everything else. And so, kind of, I guess you could call it some sort of like self-defense. Debbie ends up killing the guy, the roommate. She's knocked unconscious and stuff. So Debbie they go back and everything else. And through using the computer and stuff like Debbie is looking up, kind of like information on herself, on her escape, what's going on as far as like their search for her and stuff. And the roommate, she starts to realize that there's something up with Debbie, and she starts looking into it, and she discovers that, yeah, Debbie's not all that she seems to be. And then when she confronts Debbie with with the information, Debbie is like, in this movie, she's a lot more sympathetic to her friend than she was in the first movie. But, she's like, please just, give me a chance. Let me explain what happened. And, it's not really what you think. But, the room they're in is basically like a few stories up, and the window is open. So the, the girl, she's backing out the window, and she's like, no, wait a minute, you're going out the window, and everything. So the girl basically falls out backward because Debbie's like trying to get, like, come on, just let me explain what's going on. The girl's like, no, you need to stay away from me, stay away from me. And so she falls back, and um, she falls to her death and everything. And then the cops, they come and they question, Debbie about, like what's going on here. And so everybody's starting to kind of put the pieces together. And then we get like another confrontation between Debbie and this lover boy. And the big difference is in this one, well, not a big difference, but it's like the girlfriend in this one, she's pregnant, and so they realize like they want to be together and they want to start a family. But Debbie is very she's very hooked on the idea that her and this guy, they're going to be together no matter what. And so yeah, it's that's there are a few little differences here and there, but as much as I hate to say it, that is kind of a big problem with this movie. Is it really is a carbon copy of the first movie. Like if somebody was to ask me though, like personally, like who do I prefer, Rose McGowan or Jodi Lyn O'Keefe as Debbie. While I like Rose McGowan, I do have to admit I kind of favor Jodi Lyn O'Keefe a little bit more. I don't mean any disrespect to Rose McGowan, but just to me, like Jodi Lyn O'Keefe really kind of has it in the sexy factor. And and again, she plays in this one. Debbie really is a lot more sympathetic. There's only one time where she's like really aggressively killing somebody, and the only reason why is kind of like her hand is forced into doing it. But it's a lot of the same thing. I mean, the character of Debbie is it's not until the end where she goes full on super crazy and stuff, and she's trying to really like seriously hurt anybody. But by the end of the movie, yeah, then she really wants to hurt the guy's girlfriend so that they can be together, and she's really obsessed and everything else. But for the most part, Yes, I do hate to say that though. There is a lot of this. It's just kind of repeating the first movie over again with just a few little differences. But I don't know. Maybe that's one of the reasons why this didn't branch out into more of a franchise. Maybe because it just wasn't different enough. Maybe that they kind of added some more differences or something. I don't know, but yeah, you can all. It does feel something like I said. It reminds you of those kind of thrillers, something like a Fatal Attraction or something like The Crush. But I think this one here, because she's escaping from the insane asylum and stuff like that, also makes you kind of think of in the '90s when they were really trying to do certain other. They were trying to build other horror icons, and I think this was one of the ones they thought maybe they could try to branch out into a series of movies. I mean, you had certain ones that they didn't work out. I mean, let's face it, we had like The Stepfather, which, the first two movies are brilliant. The third movie, I didn't mind the third movie so much, but, a lot of people hated that. And so pretty much after the third movie, that was done. Then they tried, we had like The Dentist with Corbin Burnson, there were two movies of that, and they were trying to branch that off into, a series of films. And I think they were trying to do the same thing with this one too, that they were really trying to, see if they can create this kind of female horror icon and kind of turn it into something of a slasher film. And but I think that's really ultimately, I think that's why this movie just kind of. I think that's why they stopped at two. Maybe just the second movie didn't do as well, and I think to a lot of people, I think it was. I think it was just kind of more of the same, and I think that's really what hurt it. But overall, though, I do find both of these movies interesting. They're not bad movies. They're not like the greatest horror thrillers of all time, but I would have said though, if they were going to continue this, it would have been better maybe like if they did a three. It would be good if Jodi Lyn O'Keefe stuck to it, because then if they turn around and put a girl in every other movie, it's like that's going to kind of. I don't know if that might have hurt this in any way. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. Didn't make any difference. I don't know, um, but yeah, just I think really though, I think if anything hurt this and really kept this from becoming a real franchise, a real series of films, I think it's just the fact that the second movie, like I said, with just tiny little differences, really is just a carbon copy of the first movie all over again. It's the same thing. The only difference, well, like instead of high school, she's in college, but she still has, you still got kind of like the same assortment of characters. You still got a douchey asshole who's trying to get with her, and you got like the bitchy girl who's got to try to stand in her way. You got like you got like you got like the characters who are about to find her out, and they're forcing her hand into killing them. Kind of like in the same movie, in the first movie and stuff like that. Like I said, that's kind of like the only real difference in this one, is that you got the teacher, and he does have sex with her in this movie. They do get together, but then he's like, oh my god, it was a mistake, and I never should have done this and everything else. But but then we find out that the other girlfriend is pregnant, and then you have the addition of the other guy that the teacher's jealous of and everything. So I mean, it's just a few little odds and ends, but it's pretty much the same movie over again. And they did leave it open for a third movie, but yeah, just I mean, I wouldn't have minded if they kept doing more of these, especially if Jodi Lyn O'Keefe kept playing the part. But I think they kind of needed to kind of branch out, like get her out of school, and not be just all about her just wanting teachers and stuff like that. Have her kind of like, I don't know, maybe like in the next movie, she gets out into the real world. She's takes a job, and something like that, or put her in a different scenario, different situation. It might have worked, but anyway, though, we got two movies out of these, and yeah, I don't think these are two bad films. Like I said, like nothing against Rose McGowan. I mean, she's great and all, but just I do have to admit, I kind of just me personally, I prefer Jodi Lyn O'Keefe just a little bit more. But yeah, I think that's pretty much about it. That's about all I have to say about it. Both movies are pretty good. I do say if you come across this DVD, I really wouldn't mind if Mill Creek decided to upgrade these to Blu-ray. It'd be nice to have these on Blu-ray. They actually, like I said, they don't look bad on DVD. So maybe upgrade them to high definition. They probably might look pretty decent. So, but yeah, we just talked about two movies that I think if Brie Larson watched these, her head would explode because I think she would have been like, "Oh my god, you know, oh my god, a movie about where women are obsessed with men. Oh my god, especially no way. It's like women shouldn't be obsessed with men and that kind of thing. You know what I'm getting at. I'm not. Let's not get into that. I'm not here to start that kind of bullshit. So we're just here to talk about movies and have fun. But anyway, yeah, I definitely say these are not going to win any awards or anything like that. But you know what? They're decent flicks. I've heard somebody say the phrase "time waster." Both of these movies are. They're a good time waster. You get some gorgeous looking women, and they're good thrillers. Just like I said, I just think that the second movie kind of really, if they kind of really changed it up instead of just trying to make it a lot like the first movie, I think it would have been better. And maybe the series might have branched off more. They would have done more, but who knows? I don't know. But anyway, like I say, yeah, if you come across this for a good price, pick it up, give it a watch. And that's it. Yeah, we talked about both Devil in the Flesh movies. I actually recommend them both. They're not the greatest movies of all time, but they're fun watches, so I don't mind them. So anyway, so like I always say, if anybody took the time to watch this video, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I sincerely hope you liked the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I do weekly review videos. I'm doing shelf by shelf of my movie collection. I do haul videos. I'm always trying to see if I can find new ideas to keep my channel interesting. But yeah, so this is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover, and again, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to watch this video. Please come back again. Until then, have a good night, take care, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.